Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Moms Talks Sex podcast. I'm your host, Maura Yelvington of Morph Transform Your Reality, where I help women step out of trauma and reclaim their power. I'm so happy to have you here for this open conversation about moms, sex, motherhood, children, relationships, marriage, and everything in between. So grab your drink of choice and let's dive in. Guest for today is Nikki. What up, Nikki?
What's going on? How are you? I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy that you are here. I'm doing great. The sun is shining on my face. So finally there's sun in Oregon. So we are accepting it with open arms and open hands.
Yes.
So I'm so honored to have you here today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell our guests a little bit about you?
All right. Well, I'm Nikki. I live on the south side of town. I try to do things in the community with the kids. I also started a podcast called Truth Is, based off my book called Truth Is. Want to base it off of the truth of what's going on out here in society today about the kids and a lot of other things that we need to try to help each other fix and things like that. I also work in the health field. I do a little things. I do as much as I can. I also help my daughter. So I do a lot of baking, a lot of catering, because she dances and it costs money. So we got to get out there and hustle it.
Yeah.
That's basically things that I do.
So what brought you to come to my show today? What do you want to share with our listeners, with our moms that, really want to up-level their relationships, their intimacy, get close to their husband, get it on? What kind of information and tips you can share with them to help them, elevate and become closer with their partner?
Well, intimacy is great, but communication is great as well. Yeah. So you have to communicate with one another so you guys are both on the same accord and everything like that. But if you want to keep it steamy while you're raising your kids and everything, you got to be spontaneous. Every once in a while, I'll send my maid a surprising text message that'll have their mouth chopped up and like, what? So, I do that stuff. We do role plays. We do all kind of things to entice each other, to help each other throughout.
I love that. And how do you find the time in our busy day, taking care of kids, teenagers, you said, helping your daughter? How do you find time in your day to make that a priority?
Well, while you're doing things, everybody shoots a text message in the middle of doing something. So in the middle of maybe steaming the carpet or mopping the floor, I'll stop and say and send a text message, or I'll set it for a certain time to go out, of the day while I'm just getting up to brush my teeth. I'll set it for a certain time to go out or things like that, just to know that it went out, that they got it.
And what are things that maybe your partner does to make you feel special?
My partner kind of does the same thing, but my partner kind of surprises me a lot with different things and stuff like that,
Yeah. What makes you stay in that mood? Because I feel like, when you are mopping and doing all that kind of stuff, you're not really in the sexual mood, right? Your mind isn't there. So how do you remind yourself, or how do you bring, how is that come to your awareness to be like, oh, I am going to show my man I care about him? Like the mindset, I guess I would say.
Because sometimes it's some things that I see or some things that I remember for the course of the day, because my babe either will leave something somewhere or will make a funny joke and I'll be remembering that while I'm winding down, and it's like, oh, and then the feeling is right back. You know what I mean? So that's the stuff that we do.
Oh, I love that. And do you think that because you have teenagers, that's like a different, some of the moms that we were talking to are moms of younger kids. They're dealing with like breastfeeding and they have their own set of, kind of setbacks. You just maybe had a baby, your body is not there yet. You don't feel sexy, you don't feel hot. And so when you have teenagers or older kids, does that, like, what kind of difficulties do you come across when you have older children?
Are my kids going to hear me while I'm doing this? Or my kids going to be creeping around the house? I got to pay attention for what they see or hear at this point.
So how do you kind of monitor that? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you, like, I feel like you have to be really creative.
And we do. So actually, we both like music. we both like, you know, doing little things. So sometimes we'll turn up the music, or sometimes we'll just, you know, be a little quieter. But most times we'll turn up the music and we'll dance around our room together, you know, because that's the things that we like to do. So we'll dance, we'll do some things, and that puts us back in the mood as well. So while we're trying to keep it from the kids. So
I know, I actually had a guest one day and she said the same thing. She's like, sometimes I just need to go in my room and come, you know, just, you know, have an orgasm. So I just put the music up and be like, I'm taking a nap. I'll be back in 30.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
That's
actually,
exactly how you do it.
doesn't bother anyone. No, I totally support that notion. I think anything that really keeps you close together and enjoying, my crystal fell, and enjoying each other, that's what the glue that's going to keep you together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's so important. So important.
We have a lot of fun with that. We do. We have a lot of fun with role plays. We have a lot of fun.
So any tips you can, any tips that you think you can share with our listeners, you know?
I think that if you have infant children and you don't feel sexy and everything like that, it's okay every once in a while while the baby's napping or things like that, to maybe just make up your face or maybe just put on something you feel sexy in, even so you're in the house and things like that. So sometimes that jogs you and brings you back a little bit. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's okay to let mom hold the babies and keep the babies just to give you peace of mind for a second, you know, so that you can gather your thoughts and gather what you're saying. And it's also okay to write. Sometimes when you write and put your thoughts on paper, it brings everything out in the open for you. As far as with teenagers, as long as you have something that you're creative about, turning up the music, disappearing for a second, I'm taking a shower in the water, things like that, I think you'll be A-okay.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So if our listeners want to know more about you and what you do, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I am on Snapchat and Facebook. So Facebook, I'm Evangelist Nikki and Miss Nick. Instagram, I'm at Miss Nick 2023. And my Snapchat, I'm not too familiar with yet because I just got a Snapchat. My daughter showed me how.
I love it. Oh, this is another platform we need to get on, huh?
Yeah. I also have a podcast that will be up and running by June 15th. It's called Truth Is. So, and that will be on Spotify and Riverside.
Oh, that'll be amazing. I can't wait to tune into that and check it out. It sounds like it's going to be very truth speaking.
Yeah, truthful. That's what I'm aiming for.
I love it. So thank you so much for joining me today. It was a lovely conversation. I hope the listeners out there got some good tips and information about keeping it on. We'll see you next time.